I'm Juan, lead trader and founder of ProsperiTrade. In this video, I'm going to discuss Danimer Science. Are they the future? Are they going to solve our pollution problem with plastic? Is there a potential 150% upside? Or are they going to crash like some of the other SPACs that have crashed recently? So before we do that, I want to take a look at our portfolio. So over the last few months, we've discussed many stocks, many companies, and these are some of the companies that I've made videos about. So let's just take a look on how they're doing. So we did ticker symbol EXAS, Exact Science, and we discussed that. We did a video, an alert on 311. They're down 0.56%, 0.56%. Senseonics, when we did our initial video, it was trading at 289, so that's up 32%. MP, down 0.69%. I think MP does still have a lot of potential. Senseonics still good. Nothing's changed. I'm still bullish on these. PLTR, Palantir, $23. It's up 14%. Gold, and this was kind of more of a hedging strategy a little bit, especially when there was the talk of corrections, and so I'm still going to hold this in my portfolio just in case the dollar crashes. SMTI so far is the best stock out of the ones we've discussed. Since our video on 514 at $23 when we got in, it's up 53%. And Danimer, I sent on Instagram, I sent a notice that I was jumping in, and this was the price, this was the date that I sent the notice. It is up 8.53%. On our swing trades, we did a swing trade, a NEO 417, closed it at 423. Alerts were sent if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. And that was a 10% gain. BLRX was our big one. That we opened that one at 417, closed it at 54 May 4th, and that was for 90%. Sorrento, which is open now, I closed my position, but there's still a lot of people that have that position open, so I'm leaving this open because this updates every 20 minutes. And that is up 29% so far. And their Science, this is just today it went up. It's been hovering around the price that we entered, but it is up 31%. And I did send an alert for David's Tea. It's down 3%. I have no position in it. This is out of all the stocks, this is the only one I don't have any position, but I did send an alert. So I will kind of discuss when I enter that. So the company I'm going to talk about today is Danimer Science. And when I first started reading about this company, I read an article and I was extremely bullish, extremely excited when I initially did the video. I spent the last week kind of just going over a lot of things. I've been busy, but I've been trying to research as much as possible. And I finished my research and I'm still bullish. I do have a small position, but I have quite a few red flags, quite a few things that I'm worried about that I need answered and that I couldn't find on my own. And I have a list of questions actually, and I'm trying to set an appointment to speak with someone in investors relation. And after I speak to that person, I'll do a follow-up video, and either I'm going to be more bullish or less bullish at the time. So what the article I read just spoke about the problem with plastic in the environment and how this company is going to be able to solve the plastic epidemic that we have. They say that somewhere in the range of 70% of total trash in the environment is plastic, and that 311 million tons of plastic are in the ocean, which is a huge problem. And they're estimating that by 2050, that is going to be as high as $1.12 billion. 1.2 billion tons. So plastic, which was initially supposed to be something to save animals, I think when they first established it, they did it because the pool table balls used to be made out of ivory and they used to kill elephants. So they came up with plastic, and it was supposed to be the solution, but then companies found a way to make money off of plastic, and now it's a big problem. So they say on average, plastic bag takes over 500 years to decompose in the landfill. It's obviously a big problem. So Danimer, what they came and did, they have a product which they call Nodax. It's called PHA. It's a chemical, and it's made out of canola oil. And basically what they're claiming is that they're going to be able to make straws, to make coffee cups, to make bags that hold chips, and all this is going to be 100% biodegradable. That it's going to be able to be dumped in the ocean and be biodegradable in the ocean, be dumped in landfills and become biodegradable. So freshwater, soil environments, all this, and it's going to kind of solve dumping plastic. And because they say right now about 800 billion pounds of plastic is produced annually, so they definitely want to get that number down. Nodax PHA products, they have over 150 patents across 20 countries, and they do have some relationships and some businesses and like R&D kind of business, or where they R&D consult with Pepsi, Nestle, WinCup. So the WinCup partnership is a 2-year contract worth $27 million, which they're making straws that are sold at Walmart. And of all that plastic that we mentioned, they estimate that they'll be able to kind of market into 480 billion pounds of it and as a substitution. So out of the 800 billion, they'll be able to get in 480 billion pounds and have a PHA substitution. So, the environment right now for going green with Joe Biden, that's kind of where we're moving at. So when I was reading about this, I thought it was just going to be a slam dunk. And I'm still bullish. I am still bullish, but there are just a few things that I'll discuss later that I need to find out. Okay, there's some red flags that I just need to have answered. So they're saying that a lot of corporations are moving towards greener future, which is absolutely true, and that this will drive the demand for Nodax PHA. PepsiCo aims to design 100% of its packaging as recyclable or biodegradable by 2025. So that relationship with Pepsi is something that they tout quite a bit, but Pepsi was an investor in Danimer, but they sold all their shares as of last year. So that's, I guess, one of my first questions is, why would Pepsi, as an early investor, and they know that there's going to be more potential, why did they sell? It's possible that they sold because Danimer Science kind of skyrocketed, with all the SPAC hype. They went up as high as $60, I think was at the high, and we'll look at the chart in a little bit. So they also mentioned that, there's some states already that have banned single-use plastic bags. So kind of like showing that the world is going green. They talk about China, and with its 1.4 billion citizens and largest polluter, that they started moving in the right direction and banned non-degradable bags in major cities, and it plans to do it on all the cities. So they're kind of discussing how everything is pushing towards this. One of the first things I noticed was, okay, there's not a lot of competition. There's not a lot of companies that are producing PHA. So they didn't invent the product. They brought the patents from Procter & Gamble. So that's the first problem. Okay, so this technology has been around for years. I'm kind of curious to see what they're doing differently. From what I read in their 10K, that Procter & Gamble agreed to sell them the patent because they felt like they had the technology and the know-how to fully commercialize PHA. So that's one thing. PHA, the technology is not new. So what are they doing differently? So Danimer right now, it's that's kind of like a sum of. We'll look at the presentation, but that's like a quick summary of what they do or what they achieve to do. Their price right now, they're trading at around 24 something, which is about 1.8 times their 2025 sales. I'm estimating that if we're going to be bullish, that you can give at least 5 or 6 times 2025 sales, which would give you about 120 to 150 upside from the current levels. So that's kind of like best case scenario, being bullish, there's the potential of the 126 to 150 potential upside, if they reach all their goals. So if we look here at their presentation, kind of go over some of their highlights. They are currently in their Kentucky phase 2, and that's where they're going for capacity expansion. We'll look at the numbers. This is kind of their PepsiCo award, their joint R&D to design. So they make money. They do have I read in the 10K that they were starting to make money off of R&D, kind of like sharing their information, sharing their research and development, working with other companies. And they do forecast more revenue from sharing their R&D. So they had the joint R&D to design, develop, and manufacture PHA, kind of these bags, the chip bags and different things for Pepsi, with Bacardi, Mars, other companies here that they're working with. So this is where they say they fit into the situation, plastic substitute. So they're estimating that 800 billion pounds of plastic is produced annually, and that they'll be able to capture or have a substitute for 500 billion pounds. They're not going to be able to obviously take the whole 500 billion pounds. There's no way possible that they can manufacture enough. Right now, where they're at, they're only substituting less than 1% of that. So hopefully the goal is, with their phase 2 completion and their expansions and all that they'll be able to capture more of this. Where they estimate, and they discuss it in the 10K, I read the 10K a couple times yesterday, and one of the things that they admit in the 10K that there's no way they'll be able to capture that. So they talk about partnership. So that's where that R&D revenue will come in, but that's very difficult to estimate right now who they're going to be able to partnership with. They have some names of possibilities, but that's kind of like difficult to forecast. They're currently expanding, in production. They have the capacity for 45 million. They eventually want to be able to make 250 million pounds of their finished product. So this video here kind of shows the process. The canola seeds are harvested. Seeds are crushed, yielding high quality oil. Byproducts from the crushing process are used to fertilize and livestock feed. They get their product. Soil bacteria makes PHA and controlled fermentation environment. 100% biodegradable PHA results from separation, purifying, and drying. So this is how they get their product. That's the whole thing. So, okay, so let's quickly look at the DCF here. If you look at some of our past videos, we kind of break down when we do our due diligence of how we come up with intrinsic value. So I'm quickly gonna go on through this. So their market share, bioplastics makes up less than 1% of global plastic. The bullish case is that they're gonna take 0.97% of that. Base, 0.95, 0.93. So when you type here base, it calculates based off of the base numbers. And that's the same thing here for the revenue in the market share, for their cost of revenue. So, their research and development, we're hoping that it'll be the industry average, which is about 3%. So the base case, we put 4%, bearish case 6% if they need to spend more, and bullish best case scenario 2% that they spent a little bit less on R&D. And these are just numbers that we find in their 10Ks, their current assets, current liabilities, their revenues, the cost of revenue, legal settlements. They had in 2019, the $8 million legal settlement. So it takes all the numbers, and like I said, you type in base, it gives you the calculation based on the base numbers. So based on the base numbers, the upside is 39%. If we type in bearish, the downside is $6, 71%. So $6.61. So this is, I would say, a realistic probability, especially with the red flags that I came across that I'm worried about. If those, and like I said, I did take a small position, a position that I'm comfortable with. But if the questions that I have and some of the red flags that I need answered aren't answered adequately, I'll probably pull out while I'm still green. And I would say that this is the downside potential if those things aren't answered. But if everything goes perfect, if they capture what they want to capture, are able to continue to grow and make profit based off of sharing their R&D, I think that the potential is up possibly in the 60s. I think this is a little too much, but somewhere about $50 plus dollars, about 150% upside. So I would say the profit target would probably be somewhere in the 50s. Somewhere in the 50s profit target, and at that point kind of reevaluate. So usually when you do these longer term investments, once it reaches your intrinsic value, I like to reevaluate. Do they have anything else that's going to show them that they're going to be able to continue to grow? Are they maxed out? One of the biggest concerns for them is that eventually, with their Kentucky phase of production, that they will max out, that they won't be able to produce as much, that they're going to have to find an area to expand to. They're going to have to buy more land, or like they discussed in their 10K, partnerships. So some of the red flags that I found, this lawsuit here, which basically claims that they made false and misleading statements and failed to disclose that they had deficient internal controls. As a result, Danimer Science had misrepresented, among other things, its operation size. So that's the first thing. Okay, operation size. They say that their 20-acre campus with over 235,000 square feet of manufacturing space. But in their 10K here, they say that they have 200,000 square feet of real property. So that's the current 10K, and on their website, there's two different numbers. And I think that's basically what they're referring to in this lawsuit. Regulatory compliance, defendants had overstated Nodax biodegradability, particularly in oceans and landfills. That has to do with their temperature. And there was an article on the Wall Street Journal where they discussed plastic straws that quickly biodegrade in the ocean. They're saying that the seawater temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, but the average ocean temperature is 4 degrees, which means items could degrade more slowly in real life. He compares it to bread, which gets moldy less quickly inside the fridge. So they're saying that these straws could take between 5 to 10 years. But this is, when they answered this, they said this would be worst case scenario, and that they're confident the upcoming bottles will be, this was their statement from Nodax Products, that their upcoming bottles will be 100% biodegradable in 18 months. That's kind of like what they've rebutted with. Another thing is that we've had other companies like Metabolics that have attempted to do the same thing with PHA, and they failed. So I would kind of like to know why other companies have failed. I went on Indeed and I went on Glassdoor, and there are a few people that had major complaints regarding management. I saw that was kind of like a big complaint, management. And that goes back to also, some allegations that were made with regards to management and lying on their resumes. There's some allegations stating that some of the current management lied about certain universities that they went to. So for example, their CTO, they're saying in 2015 they had it on their website that he attended MIT, and now it's not there anymore, and that he never attended MIT. So that's kind of one question I want to ask Investor Relations. I want to ask about what about the increased price of canola oil? It's up 30%. So how do you compensate for that? How do you how does that's going to affect the bottom line next year? Their current CEO, Armour, had some scandal in the last place. The company that he worked for, Armour Holdings, there was a scandal there. So we already showed you the website, the article where it has the current lawsuit. Those are some of the issues I definitely would like to speak to someone with investor relations. Kind of like there's a history of just management discrepancies in their biographies. Did they study at certain universities? The lawsuit is a big concern because it gives validity to some of the accusations. Also, I would like to know using, right now there's PLA that's used in landfills, and they are biodegradable. How much of an upgrade is PHA going to be versus PLA? I know I read in the 10K that they also produce PLA, and they've stated that they've improved it. So another issue is, like, if they have these big companies, are they going to be able to mass produce and have some sort of uniformity and keep up with demand? That's a big thing. Right now, they're not big at all. They're growing. But if they going to take over or do, have like a major Pepsi contract and do all their bottles or all their bags of chips or whatever they produce, are they going to be able to keep up with demand and make everything equal, the same, be able to compete with other prices? Plastic is cheaper. If plastic becomes way cheaper because of the fossil fuel, is that something they can compete with? Do they have enough profit margin? So there's a few red flags, but these red flags are major between the lawsuit, between the discrepancies in the size of their manufacturing capacity, between the discrepancies in their biography of some of the people in management. These are all red flags that I'm a little bit worried about. I tried last 2 days to speak to someone in investor relations. I'll try again next week. But I am invested in this stock so far. I am invested in this company. I would say, looking at the chart, anything below 22, 23 is a decent entry. There's some support in the 20s. If that breaks, then possibly the next support would probably be somewhere 16. So there is some downside risk. If we look here though, when I did announce it, if you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, we got in at 22.63, or anybody who jumped in with me, and it's up 8%. So there is definitely some downside risk. If you look here, it went as high as 66.22, but this was with all the SPAC craze. This was when everything you invested in last year went up, and then the SPAC craze came down. Then the allegations and the lawsuit stuff came. So this, when it crashed down because of SPAC, because of the SPAC craze was over, because of the lawsuit, some people looked at it as a golden opportunity to enter. And there was some people, that got in here and bought it and got in at a good price. I wouldn't buy it past 25 for sure. Anything past 25, I think it's just too expensive. If you can get it in the low 20s, 22, I think it's worth the risk. I would say go with a size that you're comfortable with. And again, this goes back to the type of investor that you are. So I caught some slack when I did my Tesla overvalued video. I had somebody, just put a nasty comment, but I didn't erase it, so you can still check out the comment. But the thing is that in the comment they said, you should watch these two other YouTubers. I think they mentioned two other channels, two or three other channels, and I did watch that. I watched kind of like their channels to see what is it that they talk about, and 80-90% of their videos were about Tesla. So Tesla, it moves like crazy. It's been going up these last couple days, but it has a cult following. It has people that insult you in the comment box if you say anything negative against Tesla. It's not moving because of what the value of the stock is. It's just there's a big craze, there's a big following. So that's different. That's not sustainable long term. Like the billionaires, the Buffetts, and they didn't become rich because of those types of stocks. it's fun to trade them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've traded Tesla. I've swung traded before. I've done day trades on it before. But to sit here and say that if you look at it from a value aspect, you're paying, less than $1 for $1. That's definitely not the case with Tesla, and it's not going to be the case for years years on in. Their growth is already in their price and way past their price. The PE ratios that some of these YouTubers want to multiply in the next few years are just way too high and unreasonable. So that's all I'm saying. But if you really believe in the company, if you really truly believe that, hey, this is a company I want to be invested in, I think, yes, I'm paying for it too much now, but I think it still has upside. And even if it dips, I'm comfortable with it because of the company. So I mean, if you look at the portfolio again, none of these companies here that I've done videos on are based off of a value aspect, where I'm saying, hey, this should be trading at this price, but we're getting it at a good deal. Every single one of these, I believe in what they're trying to do. I think they're going to be leaders in what they're trying to do. EXAS, I think they're going to be big in cancer monitoring, and I think they're going to be leaders in that. Senseonics, I think eventually they're going to be leaders in CGM, continuous glucose monitoring. MP, I think they're going to be big and involved with the electric vehicle sectors and making their magnets and different things that they're going to be involved in. Palantir with education, with their software and the technology that they have within their software. Gold, it was more of a hedge play. Sonara MedTech, their wound care products, I think they're going to be in a lot more hospitals that they're in, and that's why they've had their growth. I think they're going to continue to grow. So none of them are value investments, but there are times where I will invest. I do have a different portfolio that I didn't make videos on where I got in because Intel, I think, is one of them where I think they're trading at a discount right now, and I think it's a good buy. So that would be kind of a value aspect. This company here, it's very high risk. It's not value, it's growth, speculative. There's a lot of high risk. It has a high short interest. I think it was about above 18%. So there's major risks. So if you do your own due diligence and you like what they produce, I mean, the concept of what they're trying to do is solve plastic. It's not new, but if they're able to achieve it, they're definitely going to have a lot of upside, and that's where that 150% goals comes in. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and thank you, and see you on the next video.